Right, so let's begin. The Insurance Regulator and Development Authority of India, IRDAI, has once again come ahead for the protection of policyholders. And this time, IRDAI has proposed changes to the existing format of the Customer Information Sheet, which is CIS, that insurers have to provide with policy documents at the time of purchase and renewal. At present, insurance companies follow the template set in 2020 when CIS was introduced as a part of guidelines on product filing in the health insurance business. Let's understand all of this and more in detail with Anuj Parekh, co-founder and CEO Healthy Sure. Anuj, good evening and welcome to the show. So what exactly are we talking about over here? You know, we know that IRDAI is very active in protecting all the interest or best interest of policy holders. But then the fact that there is some new addition or a new format of CIS, let's just break this down with understanding what exactly is CIS and how a policy holder needs to understand the importance of this.
Yeah. So thanks, Kavita, for having me here on the show, and I hope that I could add to the knowledge of all the viewers who've been closely following this update. So, customer information sheet was, you could say, an initiative that IRDA had launched in 2020, which would allow retail insurance policy holders to clearly understand the policy benefits that they have subscribed for. That was, I would say, at a very holistic level where at least the policy benefits of what's covered and what's not covered, with certain parameters around the waiting periods was mentioned. But yes, IRDA has now announced a new format, which is more objective in nature, which will allow policyholders to clearly understand that what are the key parameters of the policy. Something as simple as sum insured is what policyholders at times don't clearly understand, because there is also no claim bonus, and there is accretion of the sum insured over the years. So people don't really understand that what is the current sum insured that they are holding. So sum insured, to start with, the type of policy, say for example whether it's a lump sum based cover or a indemnity based cover. So lump sum based cover would mean that on diagnosis of an incident, you get a straight flat sum insured to the policy holder. But when it comes to an indemnity based cover, that means a traditional hospitalization cover where to the tune of your actual expenses you are compensated. So even fine distinctions that like these need to be clearly called out for policy holders. And the idea is that the policy holders should actually now even sign up for these benefit or parameters at time of purchase of policy. So one big change that's happening under this customer information sheet is that the policy holder signature is required before the payment of the policy. So this is one big change which the insurers will have to build into their user journey as they sell the next batch of retail insurance policies, so that they have the policy holders consent on the benefits, and this will avoid any form of mis-selling that would traditionally happen in the space. So this is a step in the right direction. And yes, insurers and the distribution intermediaries would figure a way out together as to how do they continue to simplify the journey of purchase, and that would help the policy holders make more informed decisions.
Right. So, Anuj, that's the last line that you just said. I think that's the most complicated and the most unpredictable ones, you know, the intermediaries. You know, health insurance as a product, if you see, traditionally or even fundamentally, is not supposed to be a complicated product, okay? And now, as compared to life insurance, we see less mis-selling cases in health insurance. You know, we just see a lot of claim rejections and, you know, the insurance companies not giving you the coverage enough and all that stuff. But then when we talk about health insurance and we talk about giving the kind of right information and also the grievance redressal, which I think is in a better way initiated now with this current addition or change. I really want to understand how do you think would this be impacting the overall decision making of a policy holder? Also, from when do you see this implementing by insurers? And as far as me buying an a health insurance policy from an insurance company, will that impact that, or is just a procedural change which gets more transparency and maybe gives more power to a policy holder? If that is the case, you can explain.
Yeah, so life insurance, as you rightly explained, so here we have something called as benefits illustration. This is what a user signs up for. That what is the per annum premium that they are going to pay? What is the sum insured that he or sum assured that he would get on retirement or on death, depending on the type of policy, and what would be the rate of you could say returns onto that policy if it's an investment linked product. So he clearly understands the benefits that he signs up for. Health insurance is possibly slightly more complicated than life insurance, and this will help the user's understanding of what his benefits are. Because today, when you talk about health insurance selling, today you will have different set of documents. One is the policy brochure, the policy prospectus, the policy wordings, and the customer information sheet. So the policy prospectus and the brochure are more or like marketing collaterals. So you may not understand what is the clear fine print of the policy until you read the policy wordings. So customer information sheet is an objective information around the policy prospectus and brochures combined. So the customer, while he can see the brochure to understand, okay, what are the key benefits that matter, but at least no benefit goes unnoticed. If there are any fine print benefits like sublimits on what is the room rent, or what is the waiting period, or what is the specific exclusions on the policy, even something like what's the claim settlement process has to be clearly defined under the new format of the customer information sheet, and even the port out process, which we term it as migration, even that process needs to be clearly called out. And the most important change, as I mentioned, is that the customer has to consent to signing on these benefits, which earlier was not the case. So earlier, while insurers will issue a customer information sheet, quite likely that the customer may not have even seen it. So now it's mandatory for them to sign up for those benefits.
Anuj, so very good thing now the entire CIS is standardized, okay? So there is no confusion because all the insurers had their own format of
Yeah.
CIS. But then talking about the additional features, apart from the stuff that we just focused and we spoke about, I really want you to stress on the grievance redressal. Now this
Hmm.
document specifically talks about grievance redressal, and it is an existing feature also, but what's new and what's the kind of thrust that's been introduced in the CIS or in a standardized form of CIS?
Sure. So I would still need to understand into more detail of what has really changed in that customer information sheet when it comes to grievance redressal. But what I understand is that so far the grievance redressal process was not forming part of the customer information sheet. You would only get the details of the IRDA ombudsman process, but each insurer has to have an in-house grievance redressal officer, and there has to be a grievance redressal mechanism. So, to the best of my understanding, the current new format of the customer information sheet will carry the contact details of such grievance redressal officers, and they can be contacted to in case of grievances, and only in the last stage should you resort to an IRDA ombudsman process. So I don't think there's been, except for sharing the contact details of those grievance redressal officers, there's no other change that has happened in the customer information sheet. But at least people have the awareness of who do they approach in case of any claim rejections or under settlement of claims.
Okay, Anuj, one case of claim rejection you think could also, I don't know the current rate or the status of claim rejection. Maybe you could give me some kind of a ratio or maybe a number in terms of percentage. But
Hmm.
the fact that the changes in the CIS includes migration to different policies and inclusions and exclusions kind of information also, which are in a way included in your policy document also, but CIS gives specific focus on this. So
Yeah.
when we talk about claim rejections, the kind of information that a policy holder will have to give and be really honest, which they anyways should be when buying or getting into a contract like a health insurance, you think rejection might just go up?
No, so this customer information sheet will not carry any form of health declaration of the user or the insured policy holder. It will only specify what's the waiting period and what are the key exclusions. Many a times it so happens that a user has gotten hospitalized, but it is not for a valid reason. It is more on a preventive or precautionary measure, and that is one of the reasons of claim rejection, that you need to get hospitalized. Then there has to be a valid reason for getting hospitalized, and it cannot be in preventive in scope. Otherwise, you can access OPD hospitalization or OPD curative treatments, which is not the scope of most of the health insurance plans that we have today. Second big reason for you could say claim rejections is, as you rightly pointed out, customers don't clearly declare their pre-existing health conditions. So that problem will not get fully solved with this new format of CIS, because that doesn't capture the user's pre-existing health conditions. But yes, the policy copy will cover for those health declarations, but this will at least call out explicitly that to what extent or to what period is those waiting periods applicable on the pre-existing health condition. So the user will not be caught off guard, say that he's declared his health conditions, but he was unaware that there was a waiting period under the policy. So that will get clearly called out. So there will be larger set of awareness, but will not completely address the problem of claim rejection, because that's more of an understanding of whether that hospitalization was A, whether valid or invalid, and B, whether you had correctly disclosed your health conditions at time of signing up.
Anuj, this is just a proposal for the changes in
Yeah.
the format, or
Yeah.
this has already been implemented?
No, this is just a draft proposal or format
Sure.
that has been prescribed by IRDA, and they have invited suggestions from the industry. So this has not yet formally been announced for insurers to start adopting.
All right, so these are the changes which are proposed in the new CIS format, which is very important for a policyholder to understand, because the kind of information that insurers need to gather will be a standardized format of information which has been proposed by IRDAI, although the implementation of this is still pending. Thank you so much, Anuj Parekh, for being on the show and helping our viewers
Yeah,
understand this new
thanks
change.
so much.
Thank
It
you.
was my pleasure.
Thank you.